So we're coming now next week to the 9 days. B'ezras Hashem, it's going to be on Mondays, Rosh Chodesh. So that means that now the rules are going to get a little bit more strict than they were before, right? We're going to have a little bit more things to know, not to do. So one of the most important things is that there's a minhag in the 9 days. All Am Yisrael, right? All the Jewish people. I heard, by the way, the Temanim don't keep this minhag. The Temanim. But everybody else, they keep it. What's this minhag? That we don't eat meat on the 9 days. You know, this is what we're talking about. So, what does that mean? That it's not really from the Torah. This, from the rabbis. This is the minhag we have. We don't eat meat during the 9 days. There's a little bit of a difference between the Ashkenazim and Sfaradim. What's the difference? The Ashkenazim, they don't eat meat also on Rosh Chodesh, which is Monday. But we, Sfaradim, we eat meat on Rosh Chodesh. So Monday you can still have basar. Sunday night, Monday, right? But once you finish Arvit, on Monday, right? So then you have to stop. Right? That's it, right? No more meat. So what does this include? What aren't you allowed to have? It includes meat, beef, chicken, lamb, right? All these things, right? All kinds of meat, doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's a bird or it's an animal or whatever it is, right? You can have fish, right? Yeah, fish is no problem, right? You can have salmon, all the good things, all the good fish, good, that's no problem. Right? You can make whatever you want with it, so it's a good substitute, You can have a substitute for meat, like fish. You can have, eggs also, we have a lot of protein, so that's also good. All kinds of things like this, so you can make up the protein, right, that you're lacking from not having meat. There's no problem, you can get through, 9 days, no big deal. But it's not really 9 days. Why? Because Rosh Chodesh we eat meat, right, and also on Shabbat, right, so it's really 7 days. That's what it is, right? 7 days. So Shabbat, there's no prohibition to have meat on Shabbat. We always eat meat on Shabbat, no matter what, right? Even if it's Tisha B'Av, we still eat meat on Shabbat. Doesn't make any difference what it is. Right, so that's the story there. There's also another interesting thing is that there's a question about if you make meat for Shabbat, okay? And then what happens is, right, that some of it got left over, Always something, gets left over, right? You always, make too much, right? You don't make, exactly the right amount, You're not putting it on a scale, There's always going to be something left over, right? So then, what do you do with that? You throw it away? Right? What do you do? What do you do with it, right? After Shabbat is over. So one thing, I can tell you is that you can have it from Malava Malka. Malava Malka is the meal that we have after Shabbat, right? After Shabbat goes out. The fourth meal of Shabbat, Malava Malka, you're allowed to have basar. Why? Because it's Seudat Mitzvah, So therefore, right, it's allowed. There are some poskim also. They say, that whatever is left over from Shabbat, you can have it also, like even on Sunday, Why is that? What's the reason? Why? Because you didn't make it on purpose, you should have extra. You just made the normal amount. Something got left over. So that was made beheter. It was made, with the heter. It was mutar, whatever you did over there. So therefore, the isur, the prohibition doesn't fall on that meat, on that basar. So therefore, it's allowed to have it. So therefore, right, whoever wants to be mekel with that, right, he wants to have basar, that got left over from Shabbat, you can have, there's yeshal marismoch. But, right, one thing, just don't make extra, don't be a wise guy, right? Don't make extra so you can have after Shabbat more, the meat, right? That's not the way it should be. Make the normal way, right? And whatever is left over, if you want to be lenient, you want to be mekel, so you can have that basar, right? It's allowed. Some people are machmir about this, some people are mekel, whatever, it's all good, Yeshal marismoch. There is what to rely on, if you want to do it that way. So, there is a chance, also if a person, has like children, he's allowed to give them, especially if they're weak, they're not so strong. The minhag is not really for the children, so much, it's for us, the adults, the big people, But for the children, small children, they're not so strong, so you can give them, this kind of thing, especially if you got something left over from Shabbat. For sure, you can give them that. No question about that, right? That's perfectly fine. So there is a chance, to get by, here, there, right? Whatever, you can do something to get by. It's okay, What about the issue of basar, right? I'm sorry, the yain, right? That's the question, right? So the truth is, right, that most of the Jews, the minhag is that they don't drink wine also on the 9 days, But for sure on Shabbat you can have. No question about that, right? The only question is about Havdalah, Are you allowed to have, because it's already Shabbat is over. You know what I mean? So what the Ashkenazim, what they do is, they make Havdalah with wine, and they give it to the kid, to drink, like this, right? They don't give it to the adult, But we Sfaradim, we don't do like that. We give it to the adult. The adult, whoever made the Kiddush, can drink it also. Why? Why is that? Because it's a mitzvah, Havdalah is a mitzvah. So, there's no Isur on that, it's also a mitzvah. So whatever is a mitzvah, Seudat mitzvah, you can have, no problem, right? As we said last time, right? We talked about the issue of Seudat mitzvah, right? Whether it's the Brit Milah or Bar mitzvah, you can have, wine and meat on Seudat mitzvah. So Havdalah is also mitzvah, same thing. That's the reason why, right? The Sfaradim are lenient about that. They drink Havdalah regular. The truth is, there are some books that write that Yerushalayim, the minhag was to have wine on the 9 days, they didn't have any issur on that. So there's different minhagim, There's minhag in Yerushalayim, there's minhag outside, right? Most of the people outside, they don't drink wine on the 9 days. But in Yerushalayim, some people they do. So it has to do with the minhag, Whatever your minhag is, you keep it, right? That's it. Yeah, no problem. No problem. You're allowed to have the liquor, right? Any kind of liquor you want, just the wine is not allowed, right? So right, the cognac is made from wine, so you're not allowed to have cognac. It's wine. It's the same thing, It's like just distilled, whatever, It's like made out of wine. So that, you shouldn't have cognac, But you can have brandy, whiskey, right, this kind of thing, no problem. There's no issues. Okay, so brandy and cognac is the same thing. Brandy is not allowed, mechila. Brandy, cognac, same thing. But whiskey is allowed, right, vodka is allowed. No problem. This kind of thing, no problem. Brandy, it comes from wine, It's a derivative of wine,
No, brandy is kosher.
Yeah, kosher, but it comes from wine, It's kosher. You can buy kosher brandy. You can buy kosher brandy, no special kosher brandy. Yes, of course, but it's for the 9 days. We're saying, you shouldn't drink it. That's what's because it's made out of wine. Whiskey is okay, no problem, right? Johnny Walker, no problem. Johnny Walker, you can invite him to your house, right? On the 9 days, no problem, right? He's a welcome guest. No problem. Okay, that's what we're talking about, right? So this is also another thing that we have to know about the 9 days. There are certain things which are prohibited during the night. Our friend, yesterday asked me a question, so I want to give you an answer for this. A little bit interesting question he asked me. A lot of people don't know about these things, so we have to teach people. His question was like this, let's say you go to a chatuna, right? You go to a wedding, right? Okay, so they're serving a lot of food there, right? Many courses, right? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. It's coming and coming all the time, right? All the time, more and more and more, and your stomach gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? You know how it works over there, right? So, so what do you call it? So the problem is like this, sometimes they bring you, for like the first course, appetizer, whatever, right? For the Kabbalat Panim, they bring you some things, so they bring you there some fish, whatever, right? Some silotka, whatever, right? So whatever, all kinds of fish, right? Salmon, this, that, right? All kinds of things. And then they bring you also meat, right? Whatever. So what do you do over there, right? How do you, what's the din, right? So the truth is, right, is there any halakha that says you're not allowed to have meat and fish together? Is there halakha like this? The truth is that it's because of sakana, danger, they say, right? Sakana. Why danger? They say that in the old days, by the way, like it was like this, that if you eat meat and fish together, it causes tzarat, lo aleinu, this disease, this machala called tzarat. Today we don't have so much this machala, we don't have it. But in the old days they had it, and also there are some poskim who say in our times it doesn't cause tzarat, meat and fish together. That's why the Rambam, by the way, doesn't bring this down, this halakha. Why? Because the Rambam was a doctor, So he probably thought, for sure, that there's no problem today, to eat meat and fish together. There's no sakana, there's no danger. That's why he didn't bring it. He didn't bring this halakha. Also on the Rif, the Rif doesn't bring also, But who does bring it? The Shulchan Aruch brings it, So therefore, we should be careful, Shulchan Aruch brings it. That's halakha. But the thing is, how do we keep this halakha, right? What do you do on Shabbat, right? You have the fish first, right? and then the meat, right? So what do? You do something in the middle there to prepare. So whatever, right? So what you should do is, right, that drink something, So this way your mouth is clean, right? Drink something, and also eat something, a little piece of bread or something, whatever. This way your mouth is nice and clean. Now you can, right, go from the fish to the basar, to the meat, right?
If you're eating the fish with your hands, you should wash your hands.
Absolutely, right. If you're doing the old style, right? The old style. The old fashioned, right. They say, right, the Baba Sali used to say that the real way to eat fish, is with the hands. Yeah. Okay, whatever, right? That's all right. Okay. But a lot of us, eat fish today with a fork. That's the way it is, right? You know how it is today. Right? Things are different. It's not like it used to be. Anyway, whatever it is, it's all good, right? By the way, I heard, also another thing, which is that the Ashkenazim, they have gefilte fish on Shabbat. You know what I mean? Most of them, right? Why so much this gefilte fish? What's the reason? Because it has no bones, So this way they can eat it with a fork. This is why they eat gefilte fish. Because they don't want to eat it with their hands. They have a problem, with the hands. Okay, interesting, whatever. Okay, each one has his own custom, right? Okay, so anyway, right, what we're saying is that that's what you do, right? Now, his question was like this, Boris, he asked us. Yeah. The question was, now, let's say, okay, I had fish, and then I had meat, right? And now, at the wedding, they bring more food, more. So now they brought more fish, second course, third course, whatever, So the question is, after I ate the meat, he asked me, right, can I eat now fish again? And then again meat, like 1, 2, 3, 4, going like this, right? Is there any problem with that? So I told him, no, there's no problem, just each time, when you switch from one to the other, drink something and eat something, right? That's it, And he said, right, if you're touching it with your hands, also make sure your hands are clean, right? That's the thing. So if you do that, you can go. I told him, you can do 20 times like that. Fish, meat, fish, meat, fish. I mean, there's no problem with that. You don't have to wait. He told me I waited. 2 hours. I told him you don't have to wait 2 hours. No problem with that. Just you can go straight. From one to the other. Just take a drink, and take a little bite of something. You're good to go, right? That's it. 20 times you can do like that. Probably at the wedding you are doing 20 times. You're eating so much food over there, right? So that's the whole thing, right? So there's no problem with that. Okay, so Bezrat Hashem, well, I guess we'll stop here. We have more to talk about, but Bezrat Hashem, next time. ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן. וידי חנניה בן השומר, יצא הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות ישראל, לפיך הכי בא להם תורה מצוות שנאמר אדוני חפץ, למען שכתו יגדיל תורה וידיר.